This is the all-new Honda HR-V, which has been completely redesigned from the ground up. And based on our first impressions, this all-new third-generation HR-V will most likely be your next subcompact SUV purchase. So from its exterior design, the all-new HR-V looks completely different from the previous generation model. Kung yung dating model was purely curvaceous, this all-new model looks cleaner and more upright. And ang maganda dito, both the base S, which is painted in white, and the top trim V Turbo, which is painted in red, look almost identical to each other. Kaya kahit bilhin mo lang yung S variant, meron ka pa rin premium features katulad ng full LED headlights and taillights, 17-inch alloy wheels, which by the way are in gray pagdating sa V Turbo, along with other stuff katulad ng smart entry with push button start, remote engine start, and even the full suite of Honda Sensing advanced driver assistance features, which single-handedly makes the HR-V the most affordable subcompact SUV you could buy that comes with the full suite of advanced driver assistance tech. And before may magsabi sa comment section, hindi subcompact SUV ang Ford Territory. And is actually on the same size category as a Honda CR-V, albeit syempre at a much lower price tag. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, the V-Turbo variant has this neat design detail sa kanyang lower air vent, which supposedly is a line that mimics a heartbeat. Overall, mas prefer namin ang itsura ng bagong Honda HR-V because of its cleaner, more mature, and better proportioned body. But what do you think? Let us know down in the comment section below kung anong mas prefer nyong generation ng HR-V. Ngayon naman, dumako naman tayo sa interior ng bagong HR-V.
So now that we're here inside the all-new Honda HR-V and immediately apologize for the fact na wala akong microphone ngayon. Yeah, the interior of the all-new Honda HR-V is in a similar theme basically as the all-new Civic, no? So the interior is minimalist, there's less visual noise, shall we say, compared to the outgoing model. And in terms of material quality, I wouldn't say it's improved, I guess, compared to the previous model kasi the previous model was well built din naman in terms of materials, no? So that car felt good, relatively premium for the class. But here, the top of the dashboard at saka ng doors are hard plastic, pero here in the interior of the V Turbo variant, no, all variants by the way have this soft leatherette section sa dash niya and itong middle section ng doors. And yeah, for the most part, the interior of the V Turbo that we're in here right now and the S variant, they're practically almost the same. So what mostly separates the two variants is that itong V Turbo has more piano black surfaces sa kanyang interior and you have more silver trims dito sa doors niya and sa dashboard niya, and that also echoes through the rear doors ng HR-V. We're getting more silver trims at the back. It's a nice place to be and it's your typical new Honda interior. I love the clickiness ng mga knobs niya. So I like the clicky feels. Very satisfying actually. It's very premium on that aspect. It's very Audi-like actually kasi yung ganitong level of tactility sa mga knobs are reminiscent of what you would find in Audi vehicles noon before they migrated all of their controls to a touch-sensitive thing. But anyhow, yeah. The interior is nice, it's practical as ever in a Honda, laging practical ang mga interior nila, and it's still well built. You have plenty of storage places, and one thing that I like by the way sa kanyang interior is yung kanyang air diffuser sa kanyang left and right side, no. So if you're not a fan of climate control sa mga kotse, no, na yung kanyang aircon kapag naka full blast is parang ang harsh sa mukha mo nung hangin, di ba? But with the HR-V, meron siya ditong air diffuser. So with this feature, wala ka pwede mong i-divert yung hangin dun sa diffuser part nung kanyang vents. And the good thing about that is, rather than having yung hangin humahampas sa mukha mo, air is diffused in a smooth manner. So wala ka harshness ng hangin pagka naka full blasting aircon mo. Really handy, really cool actually. Really nice attention to detail on Honda's part for that. That of course leads me to the car's infotainment system, which is an 8-inch touchscreen. It's shared with the Honda City, by the way. The global models or the other models, other parts of the world have the same infotainment with the Civic, no, the 9-inch or 7-inch screen, depending on the European version of or the Japanese version of the HRV. But yeah, it's still a good infotainment system. It's what we've found in the City nga. It's snappy, user friendly, and it comes with wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. So no wireless Apple CarPlay here like in the Civic, but still it's still a good infotainment system. Not the best in its class, but still good enough. And what you're also gonna be greeted to is this gauge cluster, no? So in the case of the S variant, you have a analog gauge cluster, but in the case of the V Turbo that we're currently in ngayon, you have a 7-inch screen on the left and an analog gauge cluster on the right. So it's a partly digital gauge cluster. It's what you would find then in the lower variants of the Honda Civic and also the Honda Accord. So the screen's high resolution ng kanyang digital gauges. Likewise, sa multi-information display naman, the 4.2-inch multi-information display ng S HRV. It's also high-res, really sharp, and plenty of information is displayed to the screen. And of course, all variants now have Honda Sensing. So yeah, you're gonna be able to see your safety stuff here sa kanang digital gauges, which is always gonna be handy for monitoring your vehicle. And then that leads me on to the other aspects of this vehicle.
As for the rest of the package, the HRV's rear seats are still very spacious. And this car is still equipped with Honda's world-famous and practical ULT Magic seats. But we'll focus on the practical aspects once we get to drive the HRV on a much longer term for our full review. And so dumako naman tayo sa engine choices, of which two are available. The S comes with a 1.5-liter non-turbo iVTEC gasoline engine, and this is the same engine powering the Honda City. And then for the first time in Southeast Asia, you can now get the powerful VTEC turbo engine on the top trim V Turbo variant, which along with the Geely Coolray, makes the HRV one of the fastest subcompact SUVs you can buy right now. But for the most part, most Filipinos will be content sa base 1.5-liter non-turbo variant, as I'll explain in a few seconds. Oh, and of course, both engines come with a CVT.
So now we're currently here inside the all-new HRV, and this is the S non-turbo variant. No, so this uses the 1.5-liter from the Honda City and not anymore the 1.8 engine from the 10th generation Civic. So this is gonna be an interesting drive because syempre smaller engine, smaller horsepower. Baka isipin nyo, uy, baka underpowered yung HRV, no? Kasi hindi siya yung 1.8, at least in the base variant, no? So what does it actually feel on the road, no? And actually, you'd be surprised na this 1.5-liter non-turbo engine is actually adequate for the HRV's size and weight, sa totoo lang. I can't imagine how the VTEC turbo would feel, sa totoo lang, at this point, because currently, for now, I actually find this engine to be just right for its size and weight. So I don't miss the 1.8-liter VTEC nung nasa dating HRV. So this is a long straight, 60, 70. It actually accelerates at a decent pace, sa totoo lang. It really picks up speed really well, sa totoo lang. I don't find it underpowered. I don't find it kapos, sa totoo lang, in terms of response from the CVT as well. It's actually really well tuned. So as your typical CVT, may rubber band feel siya. It really doesn't try to mimic an automatic clutch nung parang downshift or the fake gear changes. So it really drones the engine. But you know, power is delivered linearly in a smooth manner. It's actually pretty adequate. I mean, hindi ko naisip na baka underpowered na siya since hindi siya naka 1.8, but yeah, I mean, it's perfectly fine. It performs performs really well. I'm not even kidding on that part. I don't even find the need for me to step up to the VTEC Turbo. Later, we'll be able to drive that VTEC Turbo version ng itong HRV. But ngayon pa lang, I'm actually content with the engine. Now we're gonna be entering through some corners and let's see how it performs. Sheesh, that actually handled well. The steering is actually reasonably responsive. I like the responsiveness of the steering wheel. Feels really good on the hand. It's very agile actually. I like how fast the nose of the HRV changes. The steering's responsive. Let's go to these corners. I find it surprising that this HRV feels sportier to drive than the previous generation model. The steering's beautifully responsive actually. I'm not even keeping that part. I like how responsive the steering is. Maybe not the most generous in terms of feedback, like in the same vein as the Mazda CX-3 or the CX-30, pero yeah, it's really good actually. It's really responsive. The front end really changes directions quickly. And despite that well-controlled body movement, hindi nga siya nag-roll masyado and hindi siya nag-dive or nag-tip kapag nag-accelerate ka, it still is very comfortable in terms of ride quality, no? So it's your typical Honda suspension. I like Honda's tuning sa suspensions madalas, no? So it offers a good trade-off between comfort and sport. And I'm surprised by I'm actually enjoying the comfort levels and the handling levels of the HRV ngayon. It's really darty sa corners. Woo! Love it actually. So now that we're here in the HRV V-Turbo variant, and for most people, yung 1.5 liter non-turbo version is for them, kontento na sila doon, sa totoo lang. That engine, as mentioned kanina, doesn't feel underpowered. Actually, sa totoo lang, ang pakiramdam na sakto nga lang siya for its size eh. But here in the V-Turbo, what the fudge? This thing's freaking quick! And you have to remember that this car is a bit lighter pa compared to the Honda Civic, no? If not on the same level in terms of weight. But dude, adding that turbo engine dito sa HRV na turbo is here it's gonna be another straight. So there's already 80 kilometers per hour dito sa test track ng Honda. This thing's freakingly quick. It's actually almost on par sa totoo lang nga eh, in terms of acceleration sa sa Geely Coolray na naka 1.5 turbo. It's actually on that same level of acceleration. Maybe not as, let's say, snappy kasi naka 7-speed dual clutch yung Geely Coolray, but dude, they're on the same level in terms of acceleration. Long straight again. If you're complaining na underpowered ba tong HRV turbo na to, ewan ko na sa'yo, baka masuntok na kita kung tingin mo underpowered pa itong coaching ito. Dude, I swear, this car is really powerful. And to be honest, for the most part, people would find this overkill na for the HRV. I mean, before we only had the 1.8 liter non-turbo engine, di ba, from the previous 10th generation Civic. But now that you've added this 1.5 turbo engine sa HRV, it's really quick. I mean, you know, good. A lot of power is always welcome, no. But what I mean is, with the 1.5 liter HRV na non-turbo, yung this the HRV-S, people will be pretty much content with that variant already in terms of power delivery, and also, likewise in terms of handling and refinement. Refinement here is actually pretty good. At least here again in Honda's test track, road and wind noise is kept to a minimum. Road and wind noise is sakto na. But again, we have to take it out on an expressway to really critique the car's refinement. But yeah, and then in terms of ride, as typical of Honda, they offer a nice balance of ride and handling, and that's the same case pretty much here with the HRV. The HRV rides well. There's a good balance between comfort and sportiness. And that CVT combined with this turbo engine, the CVT really performs well. Ang snappy ng CVT. Again, maybe not as snappy as nung sa GT Kulay, but you know, for a CVT, it's really kicking down the gear, really super responsive. You wouldn't actually demand for more with this powertrain, no? I've liked this turbo and CVT combination sa Civic. I like it here as well in the HRV. But okay, if we're gonna be one of those people who really want a sporty HRV, one that's really quick off the line and in terms of overtaking, this is gonna be, you know, super. This is gonna satisfy your wants if you want a fast HRV. And as mentioned then, this car comes with Honda Sensing as standard, even with the base 1.5S. So, you get features like automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, lane centering, adaptive cruise control that works in stop and go traffic din. So, kapag traffic, hindi ka na yung alay sa kakaapak mo sa gas and brake, switching between the two. Automatic high beams, meron ka na. It's basically a complete package itong Honda HRV, even in the entry-level version. Entry-level actually in air quotes, because again, nothing's entry-level on that car since Honda Sensing is standard on that car as well. Really impressed, really good job on Honda's part on the HRV.
Pricing for the Honda HRV starts at a little under 1.3 million pesos. And combined with its standard Honda Sensing, the base Toyota Corolla Cross 1.8G variant suddenly seems bare bones and overpriced. And if you're in the market for a subcompact SUV at that price point, getting the base HRV 1.5S is basically a no-brainer. But of course, if you want a breathtakingly fast HRV, you can then get the V-Turbo variant for a little under 1.6 million pesos, which also undercuts a Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid in terms of price. And based on these factors, the all-new HRV is already an easy-to-recommend subcompact SUV to anyone, despite the fact that we haven't taken this on a much longer drive. And these strong remarks alone makes the Honda HRV one of the most value-packed subcompact crossover SUVs on sale right now.